Discuss the importance of the people's participation in rural development programs. Introduction. Rural development is a dynamic and unified democratic process of social action for development. People's participation in terms of the objectives, ideology, and methodology of rural development is a necessary and highly desirable component in it. The analysis covers the elements, objectives, and the needs, rationale, and the philosophy behind the people's participation. It discusses the range, variety, and magnitude of people's participation, the reasons as to why people fail to participate in development activities, and the mockery the development agencies make of it. It concludes highlighting the ways the agencies could enable and facilitate people's participation in rural development. People's participation is a central feature of present thinking about rural development. There appears to be an increasing consensus that participation is essential for any effective development. From this supposition arise the attendant questions of how best it can be operationalized on the assumed grounds that more of it is beneficial. In what activities, in what manner and shape can the participate be maximized? Can participation be perceived in this way as an ingredient to be injected into target groups as though they were ill, and as though this way somehow the panacea uh, panacea can participation even be institutionalized or legalized, or must it perhaps be forever on the margins of official policy prescription, and in that way provide a vehicle for countervailing exploitation and organization that are so necessary in the struggle against entrenched ortho- orthodoxy. In these latter terms, participation provides a potential powerful tool together with communication, education, and conscience constitution. Present concerns with participation are rooted in a complex historical context. People participation has been a constant theme since the beginning of rural development in all the Asian and African countries that have emerged free the colonial powers. Importance of the people's participation in a rural development program. Since independence, we have been talking about and devising ways and means or a suitable framework to ensure people's participation in the programs of social and economic development. When we started using this term or emphasizing the role of people's participation in the area of development, naturally the term assumed a different meaning and significance. The question, however, is why it become necessary to speak about people's participation and emphasis that the involvement of the common man, the humble farmer, and the city dweller was necessary. Was it because those who had led the mass movement all through the period of protesting, agitation, and mass action had, with the transfer of power, assumed a different or detached rule cut off from the mainstream, as if it was it that they had become the government and were sitting up certain programs and priorities in which they wanted widespread mass participation. Was it that they were uh, trying to give a new direction and perhaps a new goal to the mass energy which could be signified or channelized through people's participation is a constructive manner, or was it to mobilize the resource of the local communities in programs of area development in a sort of non-monetized manner to supplement the financial resource which could be moved up through taxation and other fiscal measures? We should do well to ponder over these and many other related questions so as to understand what this long branched approach to of people's participation has been. Perhaps it is meant different things to different persons at different times, or perhaps the role and significance of people's participation has been a mixture of all the questions and considerations suggested above. The more to put it differently, people's participation is meant the positive response participation and direct involvement of the common man through representation in the government programs. Participation must be understood in terms of participation in decision making, implementation or to development programs, monitoring and evolution of the programs, and sharing the benefits of development. The importance of people's participation can be assessed if we attempt to answer the questions like why participation, who participation, how to ensure participation. Let us answer each of the above questions. Why participation? Participation in the context of development has two distinct interpretations. There are participation as an input to development, and B as a means of empowering the rural poor or to play an effective role in rural development. Thus, participation is recognized as an intrinsic part of the process of development rather than merely facilitator. Or we need participation because it helps to increase the acceptability and utilization of the service. It provides additional resources to a field continually facing resource scarcity as community is seen as an untapped resource base by which service can be extended, particularly to meet the needs of the underserved people's. Participation is essential for development because it helps in breaking down and replacing social, economic, and political structures that are considered incompatible with development. Conclusion: people's participation is a necessary component in rural development. Its essence lies in the proper coordination of individual and social effort in fully utilizing the potential of the local institutions, the higher level statutory bodies, the village cooperatives, the village school, and other associated organizations such as farmers from youth club, women's club, and in proper harmonization of individual needs with national needs.